Okay, here we go. Welcome, everyone. Just waiting for people to load in, and you hear my dog walking. Of course, I'm hearing an echo. Okay, I had to turn my Facebook off. I am streaming live. We have 225 people registered for this webinar, so Kate and I are really excited. People are still loading in, so I'm just waiting a couple of minutes. We are going to talk today about the 10 tips to skyrocket your sales using social media. So hopefully we're going to teach you something new today. I'm Nancy Ganzakoffer, business coach to creative entrepreneurs. I help interior designers, online coaches, and other online entrepreneurs supersize their sales, so to speak, figure out where their messaging should be to attract people to them and become a profitable business, or more profitable than you are today. So, and I'm here today with Kate Grunke, Kate the Socialite. She's also more well known as. So Kate, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, hey everybody. Thank you guys so much for being here. I was really blown away when Nancy told me how many people had registered for this webinar, but we're excited because we've got so many tips to share with you all. So my name is Kate the Socialite. People basically don't even know what my last name is until people introduce me on webinars like this. And I specialize in helping interior designers and home stagers market their businesses. But the premise of everything I do is that marketing is easy. I found a way to simplify it in my own business, and I found a way to duplicate that same strategy for all of my clients, and I've got membership programs for it and lots of freebies and giveaways, which you'll hear more about later. But Nancy, thank you for having me on today.
Thanks for being here. This is very exciting. So, social media is the basis of so many people's marketing, so many business owners' marketing strategy. And it is for mine as well. It's free marketing. And a lot of people, if they knew how to use it right, could really start increasing their sales, and hopefully that's what we'll teach them today. So I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. There is a chat box. If you could let us know that you can see us and hear us, I'd appreciate it. And then there is also a Q&A box that I'll open up. So as we're speaking, if a question comes to your head, you can actually type it in the Q&A box. And on the chat box, I hope it says to all panelists and attendees in your chat boxes. If not, you can put the little arrow down and change it from all panelists to all panelists and attendees. This way you can all see each other talking to us and, see questions and stuff. So, yep, so right now I think you are all set to all panelists. So if you want to drop down that little arrow next to where it says all panelists, and you can drop down to all panelists and attendees. But thank you, Cheryl and Jill and Julia and Christine. Oh, hi, Christine. And Sally and Sari. Oh, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm glad. I know some of you, but if Kate doesn't, tell everyone where you are listening from, because that's always really interesting to us, where we know people are watching from all over, and that could be really cool. But while you guys are doing that, we'll get started, and we are streaming live onto my business Facebook page, Nancy Ganzakoffer. So if later you want to rewatch or go back, you can watch it there as well. So, all right, so Kate, I'm going to let you get started with your first tip. And we believe it or not, guys, we just went over our tips about 5 minutes ago to make sure we didn't have any big overlaps, and we don't, but they work so well together. I don't know about you, Kate, but when I started writing, I had so many that I had to color down, because there's really so many.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's hard to put it all into one webinar, which is why I think today we're just sticking with the basics and helping everybody who's watching build a good foundation. Because if you don't have the right expectations or understanding of what social media is and what it isn't for your business, you're going to be constantly frustrated, disappointed, and you'll likely just say, screw it, I don't want to do it anymore. And I have heard that from so many of my clients before they started working with me, which is really what facilitated this webinar topic when Nancy, you and I were talking about, what can we do to deliver really valuable tutorials and content to these people. So the first tip that I have for you guys is you need to understand the purpose of social media. And I keep an eye on a lot of different business owners' social media platforms, namely Instagram. Now, because I work just with interior designers and home stagers, Instagram is a hugely popular platform because their work is visual. Instagram is a visual platform, it's a perfect fit. However, a lot of people seem to think that they should be getting clients directly from Instagram. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, not at all. What I am saying is that you have to understand social media is for being social. So it's a place that you can present more of your personality to your followers. It's not a place where you should constantly be pushing salesy posts or promotions or things like that, because your fans don't want to see that. And honestly, it really prevents them from getting to know you as a person. So the heart of this tip is actually pretty simple. You're a person, your potential clients are also people. So all you need to do is be yourself on social media. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it's true.
Though.
Yeah, it's so true. And the more you can show your personality, it actually broadens the surface area of which people can then stick to you. So if you imagine yourself as like this big magnet, and the more you show of your personality, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, your convictions and beliefs, and of course the passion that you have for whatever craft that you're selling, it allows people to find something or pick it here and there like, ooh, that looks like me. Oh, me too. That looks like something that I also struggle with. And then they end up following you. The problem is, if you hide behind your services or your products on a social media platform, then it limits your following and then your potential customers to only the people who need your services right now. But what you want to do is build a brand, not just a business, on social media.
I love this tip because this is one of the things. I just had a conversation with a client this morning about how so many people try to hide who they are, because it's hard for people to let themselves be seen for really what they do in life, really where they go, really what their hobbies are, what their interests are, put pictures of themselves doing things. And it's so hard for so many people. And I can't even tell you how many of my clients break out of this feeling, because I tell them all the time, people connect to people. Right? So when I tell my story, I have an exercise that's called Your Business in Words. And the very first sentence is 3 adjectives about yourself, then your title. And it immediately gets people connected. And telling your story of how you became what you are is why people connect with you. When I tell a story like I'm a mom of 3 kids and I used to be this and I was a banker and I transitioned into this, people remember my story more than they remember what I offered at the end.
Absolutely.
And that you're saying the same thing, just do it on social media, the same way you would do it in person, right?
Exactly. I mean, sharing stories is the most powerful marketing tool that every single business owner has. It doesn't matter what you do in your business, but because humans connect with each other through stories, and because, I mean, that's how ancient history was passed down from generation to generation. They used stories. So if you want people to remember you, you need to share stories about you, your clients, yourself personally, your entrepreneurial journey, what have you. I mean, you have to get the courage to be a little bit vulnerable.
Yeah, let yourself show is basically what you're saying. So it works perfectly into the second tip, which is my first tip, which is use your personal Facebook profile and all the very valuable real estate that is on there for you to fill in. So for example, if you guys go back at some point and look at my personal profile, even if you're not my friend, what you're going to see is a banner that says Actionable Entrepreneurs, join Actionable Entrepreneurs, which is my private Facebook group. My feature pictures, the 5 they allow you, 4 out of the 5 are business related. My intro says I help interior designers and online businesses get more sales and be profitable, and has my website listed, even though it's not a link, it's not a clickable link. Then I link to my business Facebook page, and I manage the Interior Design Society Facebook page. So I have that there as a link too. If you just look at my personal page, somebody commenting in a group called, Tri-State Restaurants. I went to a great restaurant. I go in there and I post, and someone likes what I post. They hover over my name. What do they see? They see my name and then they see, I don't know, what are they calling it these days? It's like a nickname underneath. And I actually wrote Business Coach Nancy. So when they hover over my name, they immediately know I'm a business coach. If at the basic level, you feel like your personal business page is for personal, it's for family, it's for friends, I totally get that. Do I recommend that when you're an entrepreneur and a business owner, that you never use your personal page to at least express what your day's been like as an entrepreneur? No, I don't recommend that. But if you really can't get over that hump, at least use this prime real estate to say what you do, so that when you do socialize with people in other groups and where your interests lie, they can immediately see what you do for a living. And they may need you. I did it the other day. I was in a group and somebody wrote, I hovered over somebody and I forget what it said, but I thought, oh my God, I may need her in the future. And I screenshotted it and saved it because it said what she did for a living. And I thought, I've been thinking about doing that and needing a person for that. So it really does work. And people have found me like that. So that's my tip number one. Use that prime real estate on your personal Facebook page. Fill it all in.
Yeah, I love that because it takes very little effort, but it makes a huge difference. And I mean, as business owners, we're supposed to look for the little nooks and crannies and do the things that other people are not doing just because they're overlooking it. So that leads into my next point, which is you do have to be careful that you aren't overlooking what's right in front of you. And when it comes to social media, it's easy to look past the audience that you already have and be so focused on trying to get more fans and more likes. And then it just becomes like this rat race where it's like, what can I do to get more fans and likes? But the truth is, you have no idea how to convert those fans into paying clients. And the biggest problem that I see a lot of people in the home industry facing when it comes to this is they're not even sure who their ideal client is. Therefore, they aren't sure how to attract that person, and they have no idea what to do with that person once they get them. So when you're on Instagram or Facebook or Google+, you need to be very clear on who you serve and how you serve them. So when I say who you serve, I don't just mean, well, you're an interior designer, so you serve anyone with a house who has a certain budget.
I know.
That's close, like you got the right idea, but you have to be so much more specific. So instead, what type of job does your ideal client have? What is their income? What's their family situation? Are they a professional with no kids? Are they married? Bachelor? Do they have a lot of kids? Are you dealing with a stay-at-home mom? And then you get into, okay, well, what are their priorities and what are their hobbies? And then all of a sudden, you always know what to post on social media, because at that point, it becomes like talking to a friend.
It's true. I just did a Facebook Live in the group yesterday about this. Once you know all of that, you literally imagine yourself in their shoes, go onto Google, and what would they be typing in their frustration as to what they needed to get done? And whatever they're typing, I need new window treatments. How do I proceed? How do I, measure for a new vanity in my bathroom, right? If you're an interior designer, if you're a business owner, it's like, how do I learn how to market myself on Facebook, right? And Google then will also give you a ton of other tips on things people have Googled before. And those are the subject matters of your Facebook posts, of your Instagram posts, of, like you said, Google, right? Understanding who they are and then putting yourself in their shoes and going, what are they being bothered by that they would possibly need me?
Exactly. And one of the biggest mistakes that I made when I started my business 4 years ago was I thought, okay, I've got an LLC and I've got a business, so they're just going to show up, right?
Yes.
Oh, so naive.
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
No.
No, unless you're building an ice cream shop. But
That's right. That's right. Or pizza. Around here, pizza would go too.
Yeah. So, it's totally right. I mean, you have to not only be the type of person your ideal client would want to work with, but you also need to use social media to prove that you know them, that you understand their problems, and that you've cared enough about their problems that you have a solution. That's the whole point of social media.
Yes, and I hear somebody out there going, but I can help everyone. So you know what? I'm a business coach. I can help a ton of different types of people, but I know my ideal client is a creative entrepreneur. I know they struggle with finding out who their ideal client and getting the words around how to message them. I know they don't always like to look at their numbers to see if they're profitable and their expenses, right? So I know that running a business is different from being creative in their work. And that's where I know that I can help creative entrepreneurs. So I know that I can help a non-creative entrepreneur too, but my very specific avatar or ideal client is a creative entrepreneur. And I can tell you all about you guys, right? I can tell you right down to, what you're struggling with, and put myself in your shoes and talk to you on a regular basis in my social media, things that would help you. You need to do the same thing like Kate is saying for your clients.
Yeah, the best piece of marketing and business advice that I heard within the past week was be well known for one thing. It doesn't mean that you only do one thing, but if you become well known for just one thing, then that helps you establish your credibility, and it helps you build a very specific audience. And it's like I only work with designers and stagers. It doesn't mean that I never work with people outside those industries.
Right.
I'm working with a florist right now, but I find the most joy working with certain types of business owners, just like you do. So that's our areas of genius. And because we're operating in our areas of genius, our businesses are flourishing because we are flourishing. And to everyone watching, whenever I tell a client, you need to focus your marketing on one thing and become known for that one thing. They're always like, but then I'll lose out on business from all these other people because I'll be alienating them.
No, but they'll come to you anyway, is what I'm telling you, right?
Exactly.
They come to us. I mean, I had a brick and mortar owner come to me to help me, and I have, all types of businesses. When you are, your first tip, authentic, right? Yep. My second tip, show what you actually do, and then really hone in your messaging. If people connect with you, they're going to call you and ask you. I know you primarily work with interior designers, but do you think you can help me? And so it will happen to you too, if you get really clear. But the best part is that you will more often attract the person you love to work with, right?
Exactly.
All right, that's it. My next tip, and I'm a master at this, and I'm sure you are too. Content reuse. And I have talked about this on other webinars, and I still see people struggling with, well, what do I post on Instagram, and what do I write in my blog, and then what do I email to my clients, and then how do I, what do I do on Facebook? And I say, you can reuse your content. It's very unusual for someone to read your email, then see it that maybe it was broken down into pieces on Facebook over a week's time. And then it was broken down even further into mini messages for Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn and Pinterest. So whatever you're on, you can take one really well-written content that speaks to your ideal market and chop it down and reuse it in a lot of different places. And it saves you a ton of time and anguish. I do my weekend wind down from my personal page. When I'm done, that gets uploaded to YouTube. It gets uploaded to Podbean as an MP4. Is that right? Just for audio. So it's actually a podcast as well. Then it sometimes goes out on my LinkedIn. I reuse what I do. I do things consistently on an ongoing basis, but I reuse what I do so that it makes my life easier. So that's my tip. Reuse your content. Heather's saying, I never like to post the same photo across social media. Irks me to see a post on Facebook. And then, well, you can change the image, but the message can be, right? So if I do a blog post and it has an image associated with my blog post, I can use that image maybe once on a different day on Instagram or somewhere else. But then when I start to break it down, I'm pulling different images for the breakdown. I'm not using the same image over and over again. And I'm going to go out on a limb here because it's interesting to me. What bugs one person doesn't necessarily bug another person, right? So somebody said to me once, like, I don't want to send emails 3 times a week because I can't stand when somebody else sends. But other people, they don't mind that. And it actually, they like to hear from somebody every so often. And you may hit their inbox at the right day when they need you. So it's not always what you personally like in your life. It doesn't necessarily apply to everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And plus, if you're curating the type of audience that actually wants to hear from you, they're not going to mind seeing like similar posts from you. I've started doing this as a test over the past few months on my Instagram and my business Facebook page. And I was taking the really high performing posts from Instagram, the ones that get the most likes and comments, and then I was posting them over on my Facebook page because I've got pretty much two different audiences there. And those posts, interestingly enough, perform very, very well on Facebook.
See that?
So, yeah. So to that point, it's okay to reuse content, but you do have to be, strategic about it, like you were saying, and change the image. We're not talking about like copy paste.
Right.
That might work in a pinch, but obviously I like your point of having different images because images are very important on social media.
Right, but I know my Pinterest following, which is very minuscule because I haven't really worked on that, but my Pinterest following is not the same following I have on Instagram, let's say.
Yep,
so if I do share a post there, I have a completely different audience there. But I liked what you said, like at least look at the high performing ones.
Yep.
And those are the ones that you can share and see if they're high performing on your other social media as well. Yep. And I think my whole point is that instead of getting locked up with how much content you have to produce to actually be in multiple platforms, it's okay to share on multiple platforms, and you can just separate it by a couple of days and schedule it that way. This way you're not stressing all the time, and then you can break it down and make mini posts for your other with new images.
Exactly. Well, and there's a platform out there called Meet Edgar, and the basis of that platform, for anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about, is it's a social media scheduler, but it actually like repeats certain posts, whatever you tell it to repeat on certain days. It'll post a blog post on your Facebook page multiple times within the parameters that you set, because they did the research and they found that most of our audiences aren't seeing what we post on Facebook on any given day. Therefore, we do have to repost the same content over and over again if we want enough eyes to get on it.
On your business page?
Yes. If you do it on your personal page, you might irritate people, and it's a little bit difficult to do that on Instagram. But when it comes to your Facebook business page, you do have a little bit more wiggle room.
That's interesting. That's not anything I had heard before. You can repost the same content. But you're right. Only 3% of your Facebook business page followers are seeing your post. So if you post it 3 days in a row at 3 different times, you're probably going to hit all different people.
Exactly. Yep. And I see a good question here from Christine. She says, do you know of an app that will post on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn simultaneously? Yes. Hootsuite does that.
I have Hootsuite. That's what I use. Did you ever use If This Then That?
No, I actually haven't. I've just stuck to Hootsuite for things like Facebook or Google+. And yeah, Hootsuite does include LinkedIn, Christine. Very handy. Otherwise, there's no way to schedule posts for LinkedIn. Yeah,
that's what we use. We use Hootsuite to schedule everything. Although on Facebook, I actually do use the Facebook scheduler because I had heard that Facebook favors using their own schedule over a third-party scheduler. I have not tested that theory. We actually have a couple of questions. Would you suggest changing the image for the repeated Facebook blog posts? You don't have to, but I do understand that Facebook does like new images as often as possible. One of the things about Facebook, and Kate, correct me if I'm wrong, it's a secret. Their algorithm is basically what Kate and I do is follow the gurus who have the closest connection to people who work at Facebook. And we try to listen and hear and train whenever they come out with new information. So the last thing I heard was that, yes, Facebook favors new images, but certainly, again, if it's completely stressing you out, just let it go with the same image and see how your interaction is.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's a mistake to use the same image for your blog post because, again, you're going to get a new set of eyes on it. Plus, what I have found just with managing my clients' profiles and my own business page, that is, if you upload multiple photos when you share a blog post so that you've got like a little scrolling gallery, that gets a lot more interaction.
Oh, that's a good tip.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Okay, we have, Caden's telling us there's questions in the Q&A box. How do you know what or who your audience is on different platforms?
So you can look at your insights for each platform. So on Instagram, if you've got a business page, then you'll be able to hop over to your profile, hit the little metrics bar. It looks like a line graph or a bar graph, I mean, and you'll be able to click on that and see where your fans are and how old they are. That doesn't give you a ton of information, but if you know who your ideal client is and you're putting out content that is the perfect fit for them, then you'll know that your fans are those types of people. Now, the same with Facebook. You can go to your Facebook business page and look at insights and get even more detail.
Right, and I think if you've been building your Instagram and your social media platforms properly with your message out to them, which is going to attract your proper client, you'll know they're the right kind of people. If you really have been more haphazard and now you're in a situation where, like, I don't know who they are, I still say you may be trying to make your message match who they are, as opposed to being authentic yourself and attracting and speaking to your ideal client. So I hope that makes sense. Like I'm trying to say, it doesn't matter right now. If you're switching gears and you're going to get really fine-tuned and find out who your ideal client is, just start speaking to them. And the people, right, just do it. And the people who are responding and liking and commenting are going to be probably your ideal client because you're now talking to them. And everyone else will either, disappear, unsubscribe, whatever, and that's okay because they would have never been your client anyway.
Absolutely.
All right. How do you repost the content? Just use share. Again, it depends on the platform. If you're going from your personal page to your business page, it's a share. If you're going from your business to personal page on Facebook, it's a share. But everything else you have to post separate, using something like a Hootsuite or a Buffer or one of those posting programs, or do it yourself, manually on each of the devices.
And right now, my favorite platform for scheduling out Instagram posts, and they will be adding Facebook to this soon, but they're a new company, called Hopper HQ. So it's hopperhq.com. And I really love them. They're a new company. I've talked to them a few times. I'm like, can you add this feature and this feature? And they're like, yeah, we're working on it. So right now they only allow for Instagram posts to be scheduled out. They do have Facebook post schedulers in beta testing. So if you ask them for that feature, they'll give it to you. So of course I asked because I wanted it. It is pretty awesome. It is not as affordable as Hootsuite, but the cool thing is with Hopper HQ, you don't get that annoying little notification on your phone that says post to Instagram. It just does it for you. But Hootsuite,
that's a beautiful thing. Even, what about your hashtags?
So, okay, this is the other awesome thing.
Wait a minute, how do you spell it first?
Hopper, Hopper.
Okay, I wasn't hearing it properly. Okay, HQ. Hopper HQ. Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So they also allow, when you're scheduling a post, you put in your image, you put in your caption, and then you put in the first comment. And that's where I put all my hashtags. I just go ... and then I've got 25 to 30 hashtags. It shows up automatically. I can literally set it and forget it. And I've got like my whole Instagram planned out for the month. Oh, it's awesome.
I'm looking into that one. That's a new one for me. And yeah, that would be nice because it posts directly to my Instagram, but I then need to go back and do the hashtags or have somebody do the hashtags. So, we've got like 10 tips already filled in, but we're going to keep going. Okay, so I was last with the content reuse, or did you go after me?
You were talking about content reuse, and then we went on that big funny trail, which is awesome. Okay. So then my next tip, I'm just going to give you guys a heads up. It is a little bit controversial, and I'm just going to come right out and say it.
We love controversy. Go ahead.
Okay. I don't like Instagram pods. Number one, they hurt your following and they hurt your business, and I'm going to explain why. But Nancy, you look like you want to say something.
You know what? I'm in a couple of pods, and I like do it once, and I like and comment on the 20 people above me. Then I post something, and I go, why am I doing this? This is taking up so much of my time. But the goal of the pods, from what I understand, is to trick the algorithms into showing your feed more out. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So the whole reason Instagram pods were ever started was exactly as you said, to drive more traffic to people's pages or Instagram feeds, because about 8 months ago or so, Instagram changed the rules, and everyone used to be getting tons of followers really easily. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. Not just for the little people, but I've got some friends who are official social media influencers, and they said that their following was growing steadily, and then it just became sluggish, like just painful. So a lot of people freaked out, and they thought, what can we do to outsmart this algorithm? And so they created these pods where people would band together and basically just help each other out. And like, if I post something, then you'd come like it and comment on it. And we do that for, up to, I think, 20 some other people. I think that's the limit.
Every pod is different. Some say do 10 before you get your post, and then the 10 people under you will like yours, etc. Fine.
Yeah. So I think it started out with good intentions. The problem is the developers behind Instagram are the same developers behind Facebook, and they are smart. They've got AI on their side, artificial intelligence, and they already are wise to this game. They understand what we're doing with Instagram pods. They understand how to get around them. So the problem with feeling the need to trade likes for likes means that the content you're putting out isn't up to Instagram's standards as far as getting natural traffic, getting organic interactions. So if you post something and you're using your hashtags, you wrote a good caption, but it's not getting any likes or comments, and then you go to your pod and you're like, okay, well, guys, come help me out here. I'm not getting anything. You need to ask yourself, are you posting something that people will actually like on their own? Because
that's confusing.
What do you mean?
Because the influencers are influencers, and their their posts are even not getting the likes and the comments they used to, and their following is not growing. So it's like when you say the content isn't to Instagram standards, like not even the influencers are always to their standard. Like, what is the standard? What is the standard?
Exactly. That is a big question. So
that's a big question.
So the standards have changed, and that's why everyone's following slowed way down. So what I have found in my own personal experience and with my clients is the more personal you are, the longer your captions are, the more in-depth they go, the more photos you put up of yourself, the more traction you will get.
That is funny you said that, because I have a curated, motivational and inspirational. So it's a lot of words. When I do post a picture of myself, it's like crazy, and not all crazy people either. Like, it just we get that too.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's interesting you're saying that, and that was one of the things that I had started to try to do for a while. Post more pictures of where I go. Like I said before, let yourself show. So you're saying Instagram likes that?
They do, because social media, in their opinion, and I have to agree, is all about people connecting with people. So Facebook owns Instagram, so we can be pretty much certain that whatever rules they have set for Facebook also apply to Instagram.
Yes.
And I know that when we did a Facebook Live together a few months ago, I talked a little bit about Facebook Zero, and how if you're not acting like a real person on Facebook, if your business is acting just like a cold corporate infrastructure, and you're not sharing your personality and your beliefs and I say beliefs, and I literally mean beliefs. I mean, like, Facebook wants to see your heart and soul on their platform, and they will give preference to posts like that versus, we have a sale, come stop by our showroom or something. So they want you to give it all, like, no filter.
Yeah, well, I did once on my political views, which I normally don't let out. And boy, did that post go wild.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Yeah,
Facebook,
so you're right on.
It.
Yep, they make sure everybody saw it. And I'm sitting there going, I'm a business coach. I shouldn't be letting my personal political opinions out, which I still tend not to do, but it goes right in line with what you're saying. If you polarize yourself and actually take a stance on something or let your personal life show, they're going to give that preference.
Yeah, and I don't encourage people to be polarizing. I mean, like, it doesn't mean you have to say which presidential candidate you voted for. It doesn't.
But you can just say, I was at Macy's the other day and it was great service, or it was terrible service, or whatever you want to say, but it's still an opinion, right?
Yeah, and I think that business owners are afraid to have opinions, but they're people. People always have opinions, and you can find a way to present your opinion so that it's not offending most people.
Absolutely.
Some people will be offended by anything, and it's just like, oh, whatever. Right. But as long as you're presenting yourself with respect and you're being honorable and you have integrity, you can share your opinions on things, but then also be respectful and tolerant of all the people who will comment and disagree with you.
Exactly. Don't unfriend them.
Yeah, exactly. So no, there's a reason why posts like that get a lot of attention, and so going back to the whole Instagram pod thing, it's like what you're doing when you have all these people methodically posting or commenting on your stuff, you're just teaching Instagram that those people really like your stuff, because at face value, that's exactly what it is. It doesn't mean they're actually going to show your post to more people on Instagram or on Facebook. It means you need to post the right type of content. You need to play Facebook's game or Instagram's game and just be a real person.
Okay, so the pods really are fabricating the rise in your likes and comments, but Instagram's onto us is yes. If you're in a pod, they know what's going on. So they might end up squashed. Well, we don't know the answer, but they know us. They know about us. When
they do. And there's not much a difference between being in an Instagram pod and buying likes or buying fans. It's the exact same idea, because you're not getting them naturally. You're not actually attracting these people to you. They're either coming to you because you purchased them or because you're trading. And it doesn't feel right. It feels a little slimy.
Yeah, every time I do it, I go, why am I doing this? I consider it, for me, I'm so busy and everyone's so busy. If you have time to be doing a pod, you have time to be doing some authentic posting.
Amen to that.
Right, and creating content. So that was a great tip. Let me just see if we have Heather left 3 of them. Yeah, I'm with you, Heather. Can you touch base on banned hashtags and how to battle this? I have no knowledge of banned hashtags.
Yeah, there are a few hashtags that are banned, and you don't really have to worry about those, because it'll be like hashtag PORN. I'm not even going to say it because I don't want to throw that out there into the virtual reality. But as long as you're not using hashtags like that, it's not going to affect you. Now, if you're talking about the shadow ban, where your Instagram feed was being blocked and nobody was seeing it, that's when you literally just need to go Google Instagram shadow ban and figure out how to get yourself unbanned. However, that was a big problem about 8 months ago. It's not so much of a problem now. So, okay. Colleen, I hope that answers your question.
Okay. My next tip. We're given a lot of information here, so we got to move faster. So we respect people's time. I wanted it to be about an hour. Okay. Be generous with other people's posts and share their social media posts. And I'm going to tell you exactly why you do this. It could be what you consider the word that I never used in my own business or with my clients, right? But, well, should I be sharing my competition? You know what? There's no such thing as competition. If it goes back to, if you've learned anything on this webinar, it's be yourself, be authentic. And when it comes to people who are meant to be attracted to you, they're going to be attracted to you. So, I do webinars with other coaches. I share other coaches' content. They share mine. I genuinely reach up to people I admire and share their stuff, comment, go on their Instagram, like and comment, sometimes even share with a repost. And I do that for a couple of reasons. One, when you're in that giving state of your heart where you truly aren't looking at anyone like in that scarcity mode, like, well, I don't want to share their stuff because they might grab some of my clients. It really does open up, and I'm not a foo-foo coach at all, but it really does open up the universe when you're a giving personality. Mm-hmm. And I'll give and give and give with never an intention to get anything back. If I happen to get something back, I always know why though, because I gave first. So I've been invited on podcasts and lives and gotten clients from doing those other things that I got invited to after I was genuinely giving and sharing of other people's things. So again, it's social media. Be social. If you like something, if you genuinely think it has value, share it. It doesn't matter if I do the same exact thing. If I go, wow, they wrote that really well and that's a great priced product, I'll share it. So that's my tip, is share freely, be giving. And if you really want to be noticed by people who are, perhaps one level above you or two levels above you, that's really the way you do it. And they will then maybe surprise you and share something of yours, and, or reach out to you and give you an opportunity that you never even knew existed.
Absolutely. It goes back to like community over competition, because there's plenty in this world for all of us.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm going to kind of combine my last two little tips so that we don't run out of time. They're pretty closely connected anyway. But I'm just going to give you guys a quick overview of what a social media sales funnel looks like. Yes. Because at the beginning of this conversation, I told you that you can't expect to get clients directly from Instagram or Facebook. It can happen, but that's not a strategy for long-term success, and you should not be depending on that. You need to have an actual plan in place, a sales funnel. So social media is like the welcome mat. It's kind of also like the first date. It's like the first time you meet up for coffee with a special someone. If you then expect them to go from social media to hiring you, that's like proposing on the first date. I'm like, what? People will run away because that's awkward. They don't even know you. So what you need to do is not only be posting content that your ideal client cares about, but also give them something for free, something of value. You could totally charge for it, but instead you are turning that into what we call a lead magnet, or a freebie, or a giveaway, whatever you want to call it, and you're putting it on your social media platforms. So as a concrete example of how this works, let's say I'm an interior designer. So I am an interior designer. I specialize in kitchen and bath, and I am making a 1 or 2 page little ebook. It's basically a PDF that explains the things you need to do before you start your bathroom remodel or something like that. Well, then I share that on Instagram. I put the link to it in my bio. I share it on Facebook with the link. And then people who are interested in that free information opt in. They get in my mailing list. Then they can get either my monthly email newsletter, which all of you should be sending, by the way, or an actual nurture sequence of like 2 or 3 emails. Either way, it can be really effective. Yes. But that becomes your sales funnel. It goes from social media to your website, to your mailing list, and then to your bank account. You can't go from social media straight to your bank account. It doesn't work.
I love that, and it's so important. Every single one of you who are listening should have some type of a lead magnet. I have multiple. Kate, I'm sure, has multiple. You know what? So yeah, I have an exercise called Your Business in Words. I also have time management for busy growing entrepreneurs. People can get that on my website for free. I rotate that out into the social media world. I'll write a blog and work that in sometimes. And that is the way they can first learn a little bit about the exercise I created for free. And then they're on my email list and they start getting my emails on a regular basis. Yeah. And it's a nurturing process, right? It could also be an invite into, this is my next tip, if you create a Facebook group specific for your ideal client, and you can talk to them on a regular basis like I do and you do, right? You talk to your ideal client market, giving them lessons every day. And I say this every single day. People don't hire you for information. They hire you for implementation. Yep. Right?
Exactly.
So you're going to give information, and you know what? I hope everyone can do everything that we teach themselves. But if it gets to a point where you're actually getting business or you're stuck and you're like, I need some help, then you're going to reach out for help. So it's the same with you guys. If you start actually teaching some of your process genuinely to help people get to the next level in their design projects or whatever you do for a living, whatever service you provide, at some point they may just go, you know what, I don't want to do this myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And who do I know that can help me? And it's been you there consistently with a newsletter or with an email that you're giving and you're sharing. And it's been you on their Instagram showing your personality and your hobbies. And it's been you consistently giving tips on so many things. They're going to go, that moment they're frustrated, they're going to go, I need to call so-and-so. She gives every day in that group and she really knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the goal.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. It is. And it works so well. And a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to give away too much information. For one thing, my competitors could see it. For another thing, my clients could then just go do it themselves. But like you said, once they realize how complicated what you do actually is, they'll not only respect you more, but they'll also be willing to invest in you because they know they appreciate the work you go through on their behalf.
Right. And I always say too, like, do you remember, like, at the moment you want to hire, let's say, a plumber, and you're looking through one of the news things you get in the mail and you see a plumber, if you need a plumber right at that moment, that's the plumber you're going to hire because he's right there in front of you, right?
Yep.
But now 3 months later, you need a plumber. And you're like, wait, I remember seeing one. I saw one like 3 months ago. Wait, I think I threw it out. Or maybe it was on my Facebook feed. And now you're, right? But if that plumber or that interior designer or that coach or that marketer came in front of you on a regular basis, that moment when you needed them, they would hire you, right? So you want to be in front of your audience often on social media, being yourself, being genuine, giving value, and creating a Facebook group of people who are truly interested in learning about what you do, and they want to follow you, and they like you, and they value you, could eventually turn into a client for you, or somebody they know in a casual conversation says, right, you know what, I'm looking for an interior designer. I'm so stuck on my bathroom. And they're like, oh my God, I follow one. Yeah. I have one for you. So the steady exposure is really important. And that does lead me to my last tip, which we can, go further on, is don't be afraid to actually make an offer. Like once you've have this newsletter going out on a regular basis, or you have an email going out on a regular basis, or you have a group, or you have a following on Instagram or LinkedIn or Pinterest, wherever you are. And I don't think you need to be everywhere. So let's be clear. But if you're afraid to actually make the offer ever, like I use like a 70-30 rule. Sometimes it's 80-20. I give. And then every once in a while, I'm like, hey, did you know that if you needed, if you're just stuck right now, I give reduced cost strategy calls, right? So, and then I'll put it out there. So if I'm afraid to say I have a free giveaway every so often, or I have a reduced cost something, no one will ever know how to hire me. And I told you this story before. Somebody called me once and said, I saw a great presentation, 3 ladies live. This was live, but it goes the same for social media. 3 of them got up there, talked about their specialties, and I'm sitting in the audience. This woman was telling me this story, and I really wanted to work with one of them. Everything she said resonated with me. And she never made an offer.
Yeah, that call to action is very important because, like we've both said separately and right before we got on this webinar, people have to be told what to do. We need it. When we read a command, we hear a command, like there's something in our brains that considers it right away. Like, oh, should we do that? Like, maybe I should. And if you can present it like a question, well, human brains are wired to subconsciously answer every question that we're asked. Every single question.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
So you can use that in your favor. So when you say something like, are you feeling stuck in your business? That is a perfect call to action. It's an attention getter and it leads into a call to action. But you need to have that attention getter because then it makes people think, do I feel stuck? Yeah. So because then the next sentence you give is the solution. Problem, solution.
Correct. So that leads in perfectly to my offer. That was a great segue. We didn't even plan that.
No.
So truly, are you struggling in your business right now? We're going to use Kate's sentence, because that's really what I help people with. If you're just stuck, you don't know what social media you're supposed to be on, you don't know your numbers, you don't know how to get the words around who your ideal client is and how to attract them on a regular basis, I offer a $97, that's a reduced cost strategy call for 50 minutes, 50, because everyone says I say 50 sounds like 15. No, it's 50 minutes. It's 100% coaching for 50 minutes. We will look at your business, you'll tell me what's been going on, and I will help move the needle for you and get you a direction, help you make decisions, and get you make a plan on how you can move forward. So that's what I'm offering. Caden put, that's the assistant who's silently on here on the screen, but you can't see him. He put a link to my reduced cost strategy call. So again, $97, 50 minutes, and we can get you clear and concise on where your business needs to go in order to become profitable. And I know, Kate, you have a great offer as well.
Yeah, and it kind of just comes right off of yours, because you help them get the foundation for having a successful business. And what I do is specialize in helping interior designers and home stagers. And the way I'm doing that right now is exactly what we've been talking about. I create social media posts with the captions and the hashtags. I create email newsletters.
I love what you create. I went spying.
and I created those things because so many people were telling me, I understand what I'm supposed to be doing on social media. I understand I'm supposed to send a newsletter, but I don't have the time to write one. I don't have the time to be on social, or I don't know what to say on either platform. So help, Yeah. And what I was also told by so many of my customers is that they're a one-man or a one-woman show, or they've got just a very small team, which means that their budget is not huge. And as a business owner myself, of course, I respect that. So the membership platforms that I've created are, one's $25 a month, one is $149 a month. Extremely affordable, but you still get high-level marketing material that you can tweak and customize, or you can just use it as is.
Perfect. Yeah, and I've seen what you do, and it's like a library. Mm-hmm. It's like a library that they can pick and choose what they want to post, and like you say, they can customize it. And I think it's a great solution when you're, listen, it's hard to stay in your genius zone, mm-hmm. to do what you need to do to get your next client. But services like this help, and getting guidance helps. When I always say it's either time or money, right? You either got to spend the time doing it yourself, or you've got to spend the money to get direction lessons or pay someone to do it for you. And there's times in your business where both apply. If you're stuck right now, to get to that next level, and reach out for help. That's what we're here for. And one thing I wanted to mention to you is that, and everybody else, I actually have gotten clients from Instagram. In a year and a half, I've gotten 2. Mm-hmm. And how do they come to me? Yes, in the beginning, I had my free opt-in, right, which was the Your Business in Words exercise. And now I just post my reduced cost strategy call, and 2 people have come to me over a year and a half and have coached with me long term. So it does work, but it doesn't work for everybody. And if nothing else, when somebody Googles you and looks for you and if you're an interior designer and they're looking for you on Instagram and you're not there, what are they going to think? Mm-hmm. Right? It's like hanging a billboard, right? They want to see a sample of mood boards or work that you've done or things that you like or your picture and get to know you. Mm-hmm. So you want to be on at least 2 social media platforms is what I always say. What do you say, Kate?
Yeah, and I know you said earlier you don't think we need to be everywhere, and I totally agree with that, because the more thinly we spread ourselves out, the less genuine and authentic and interesting we become. So it's better to just focus on like Instagram and Facebook, or Instagram and Google Plus, whatever one is more natural to you, just go with that one. There is no wrong way to do it. Some people are obsessed with Instagram and that's all they do, and that's totally fine because they end up being really good at it. And to your point, you can get clients directly from Instagram. I've gotten them from Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook, but it's not something that I want people to rely on. I want everyone to have that sales funnel and understand how they got those instant, I say instant with quotes, clients from social media. It's because they were doing something right. So once you know and you can pinpoint what you were doing right, do more of that thing. And then suddenly marketing becomes easy.
Yes. The first question is always, where did you find me from? Right? When somebody does call you, where did you, and you want to analyze that and find, okay, how did people find me? And if it's heavy in one area, you can dump one of the other areas and just
exactly. You don't need to keep doing the same things.
No, you don't need, but I do say give things 6 months at least to see whether, it's going to work for you, because I know people who have, well, I tried that and it didn't work and it didn't bring me any clients. But for some designers, LinkedIn is the place to be.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on who their ideal client is. So let me just read. Darcy said, I joined Kate's services, super great newsletter, and we just updated with our images. See that? Perfect.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Darcy.
I'm just reading to see if we missed any up here. Did we miss this one? Buffer links to all platforms. You get 3 platforms for free, then you pay for anything above that. They have just introduced Buffer for Instagram. Oh, okay. So that's, I have to, I want to look at, I use Hootsuite and I like it a lot, but I really want to look at that Hopper HQ. So any other questions today for Kate and I that we can help you with before we sign off today? We actually gave so many more tips when we go off on our little conversations, but I'm so happy, right? I think that this is very valuable, even if you get 1 or 2 tips from us that you haven't been implementing that can make your life easier or get you more exposure, because visibility is definitely very important when you're trying to get more clients. Then it was worth it today. And I think somebody asked if you'll be getting a replay. Everyone who signed up for the webinar will be getting a replay. In addition, it is streaming live into my business Facebook page. See, content reuse. It's on Nancy Gansical for Business Coach page as well. So I probably should check there to see if anyone was watching and asking questions. But when I do that, it plays in my headset and I hear myself back. So one thing to share about Kate's newsletters, very easy to turn them into a blog post and prompts us to think of more things to post on Instagram. Yeah, I mean, your service is inspiration, basically, also. Yeah. So if someone feels stuck, right, they may see something in what you've created in your library and go, that's a great topic, we should talk about that.
Exactly. Now, to that point, I will say that you can't take those newsletters and put them on your website as a blog post, because that's like, there's a copyright issue and I have disclaimers in the membership about it. So Darcy, if you have any questions about that, just shoot me an email. But I hope that those newsletter topics spark your own creativity so that you can go create your own original blog post. And
yeah, she said very easily turn them into. So yeah, it sounds like it's more like an inspiration. Yeah, she said no, but prompts us to think about what to blog about. Exactly.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. I mean, I've had a lot of people actually just put those newsletters on their websites, and I've had to go track them down and be like, oh, sorry, you can't do that. I mean, I totally get why they'd want to, because that would be easy. Yes. But yeah, so Darcy, I love that you're using it as inspiration. That just means you're super creative, which my clients are awesome. I mean, seriously.
I know. And you know what? We're always looking for inspiration from everywhere. So if something prompts, that's what I was saying before, like doing that Google, believe how much inspiration you get just by Googling a couple of things that when you're in your client's shoes, what would they be Googling? Google just gives you a whole list of things that people have Googled in the past. Yeah. And it gives you inspiration for blog posts and Facebook posts and Instagram and all that. So, all right, it's 4:29. Thank you so much, Kate. Thank you, everyone, for listening. If you want to grab our offers, please do, or come visit us in my private group, Actionable Entrepreneurs. Or Kate, do you have a private group as well?
I do. My group is Marketing for Home Pros on Facebook, and Thank you guys for watching today. Nancy, thank you for having me. This was so fun.
This was great. Thank everyone. Everyone's saying thank you, thank you. You're welcome, everyone. I hope you enjoyed today, and I hope you go out and rock your business with social media and actually skyrocket your sales using your social media, because as we are explaining to you today, it's possible, right, to actually turn social media into sales by getting them on your email list, nurturing them through your social media and through your email. It's not hard to do. It just takes some time, sometimes some money, and some consistency, right? Yeah. So, 100%. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.